Hi, and welcome to episode 9 of Book Chat with Julie. I'm Julie with the Argenta Branch Library. We're part of the Lehman Library System in North Little Rock, Arkansas. We've reached episode 9. We've made it all the way through our summer reading challenge. Thank you for taking this ride with us in our virtual programming. So many books, so little time. What does your to-be-read pile look like? I think we've all established that I like to collect books. I'm not a hoarder, I'm a collector. Do you remember your first books? Do you remember your first chapter book? My first chapter book, I was in second grade. This is the first book that I read under the covers with a flashlight. This is actually the second in the series. The first book in the series is called B is for Betsy by Carolyn Haywood. I was able to find this one a few years back, Betsy's Little Star. It's number 2 in the series. Some of you might even remember teaching with these books in your classroom, or maybe reading them when you were in second grade as well. I don't have B is for Betsy. It's a little out of my price range for a book collector, but I have kept this one on my shelves for many, many years. After reading B is for Betsy in second grade, then I did graduate up to the Little House on the Prairie books. That particular book right there was gifted to me in 1974. So it has been on my shelves for quite some time as well. B is for Betsy, Little House on the Prairie, all the Little House on the Prairie books were read. Then I graduated to Judy Blume. We all remember reading Judy Blume, male and female. Judy Blume got us all through adolescence, pre-adolescence, and even adulthood. This is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This is a book that my friend Maria, and she's probably watching, we pass this back and forth many times, and we've laughed about it as adults. So that was Judy Blume. So I don't know if you're a book journaler. I do keep journals in my purse, in my book bags. My boys will tell you if I say, oh, it's in my purse or it's in my bag. They can look at the edge of the kitchen and go, which bag? There's like 14 book bags. Yeah, that's pretty true for me. But I do keep book journals. When I'm watching TV, when I'm at work by the computer, if somebody recommends a book, I can jot it down so that I don't forget. If I see something in a magazine, I'll cut it out and tape it in my book journal. So I don't have to hide under the covers with a flashlight to read, but I do still read by a book light late into the early mornings because I am a nighttime book reader. So many books, so little time. You would think that after all the time that we all have had for the last couple of months, that maybe our to-be-read piles had lessened. Not so. I think mine only increased. When I was back into the library, now that we're doing curbside and I can actually get back into the shelves, I found more that, oh, that's that book they were talking about on TV, or oh, that's that book that so-and-so mentioned. So I've just brought them home and made my pile even bigger. So let's take a look at a few that I have on my to-be-read pile. Actually, I will tell you that some of these I have already read, and some of them I haven't, so we'll just examine them all together. The Widows by Jess Montgomery. 2 widows team up for justice. Kingship, Ohio, 1924. When Lily Ross learns that her husband, Daniel Ross, the town's widely respected sheriff, was killed while transporting a prisoner, she vows to avenge his death. After his funeral, a stranger appears at her door, Marvina Whitcomb. The coal miner's daughter is unaware that Daniel is dead and begs to speak with him about her missing daughter. From miles away but worlds apart, Lily and Marvina live. From miles away, but worlds apart, Lily and Marvina's lives collide as they realize Daniel was not the man that they either of them believed him to be. And his murder is more complex than either imagined. Inspired by the true story of Ohio's first female sheriff, This is a powerful debut about two women's search for justice as they take on the corruption at the heart of their community. The Dying of the Light by Robert Gulrick. Her genteel life may end in ashes. Diana Cook, the daughter of Virginia Gentry, knew early that her parents had only one asset, beside her famous beauty. Their stately house, Saratoga, has hosted the cream of society and Hollywood royalty. But without a wealthy husband, Diana would lose the mansion. When Captain Cooperton, an outsider with no bloodline but plenty of cash, sees the ravishing 19-year-old Diana, he's determined to have her. Diana knows that marrying him would ensure that Saratoga will always be hers. Though Cooperton is cruel and vulgar, she succumbs to duty, sacrificing everything, including love. Their union is brief and gives Diana a son she adores. But when charming Ashton, now grown, returns to Saratoga with his college roommate, the real tragedy begins. Now, there's probably a lot of Jane Austen fans out there. So Natalie Jenner has a new book, and it's called The Jane Austen Society, a novel. Just after the Second World War, in a small English village of Chawton, the unusual but like-minded group of people band together to attempt something remarkable. 150 years ago, Chawton was the final home of Jane Austen, one of England's finest novelists. Now it's a home to few distant relatives and their diminishing estate. With the last bit of Austen's legacy threatened, a group of desperate individuals come together to preserve both Jane Austen's home and her legacy. These people, a laborer, a young widow, a local doctor, and a movie star, among others, could not be more different, and yet they were all so united in their love for the works and the words of Austen. As each of them endures their own quiet struggle with loss and trauma, some from the recent war and others from recent tragedies, they rally together to create the Jane Austen Society, a powerful and moving novel that explores the tragedies and triumphs of life, both large and small, and the universal humanity in all of us. Natalie Jenner's Jane Austen Society is destined to resonate with readers for years to come. The Libraries of Legends by Janie Chang. Myths are the darkest and brightest incarnations of who we are. It's China, 1937, when Japanese bombs begin falling on the city of Nanking. 19-year-old Hu Lin and her classmates are ordered to flee. Lian and a convoy of more than 100 students, faculty, and staff must walk thousands of miles to safety of China's western provinces. A journey marred by hunger, cold, and constant threat of aerial attack. And it is not just the student refugees who are at risk. Leanne and her classmates have been entrusted with priceless treasure, a 500-year-old collection of myth and folklore known as the Library of Legends. Based on the true events, rich in Chinese history and lore, the Library of Legends is both an illuminating exploration of China's recent past and an evocative tale of love, sacrifice, and the extraordinary power of storytelling. That one might take a whole pot of tea to get through. This one, I do love it. I read it back in the winter. It is The Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore by Matthew Sullivan. When a bookshop patron commits suicide, his favorite store clerk must unravel the puzzle he has left behind in this intriguingly dark and twisty book. Lydia Smith lives her life hiding in plain sight. A clerk at the Bright Ideas bookstore, she keeps a meticulously crafted existence among her beloved books, eccentric colleagues, and the book frogs, the lost and the lonely regulars who spend every day meandering the bookstore's overwhelmed shelves. But when Joey Molina, a young, beguiling book frog, kills himself in the bookstore's upper room, Lydia's life comes unglued. Always Joey's favorite bookseller, Lydia has been bequeathed his meager worldly possessions, trinkets and books of a lonely and uncared man. But when Lydia flips through the books, she finds them defaced in ways both disturbing and inexplicable. They reveal the psyche of a young man on the verge of an emotional reckoning, and they seem to contain a hidden message. What did Joey know, and what does it have to do with Lydia? As Lydia untangles the mystery of Joey's suicide, she unearths a long-buried memory of her own violent childhood. Details from that one bloody night begin the circle back. Her distant father returns from the fold along with an obsessive local cop, and the Hammerman, a murderer who came into Lydia's life long ago and, as she soon discovers, never completely left. Both charming and a challenging read. Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strasser. An innocent night of fun takes a shocking turn in Not That I Could Tell. It's the next page-turner from Jessica Strasser. When a group of neighborhood women gathers, wine in hand, around a fire pit where their backyards meet one Saturday night, most of them are just ecstatic to have discovered that the baby monitors could reach that far. It's a rare kid-free night, and they're giddy about it. They drink too much, and so then the conversations turn personal. By Monday morning, one of them is gone. Everyone knows something about everyone else's business in the quirky, small Ohio town of Yellow Springs. But no one can make sense of the disappearance. Kristen was a sociable twin mom, college administrator, and a doctor's wife who didn't seem all that bothered about her impending divorce. And the investigation turns up more questions than answers, with her husband, Paul, at the center. For her closest neighbor, Clara, the incident triggers memories she thought she'd put behind her. And when she's unable to extract herself from the widening circle of scrutiny, her own suspicions quickly grow. But the neighborhood's newest addition, Izzy, is determined not to jump to any conclusions, especially since she's dealing with a crisis of her own. As the police investigation goes from media circus to a cold case, the neighbors are forced to re-examine what's really going on behind their closed doors. I know some of you, like we are at our house, have the possibility of missing out on some fall SEC. This next book, Rush by Lisa Patton, it'll give you a little bit of a college SEC Greek life. Experience the phenomenon from the front row seat. It's move-in day for college freshmen at the Ole Miss campus. Nobody wants to fit in more than Callie, a bright, small-town girl with family secrets too scandalous for the well-to-do to even imagine. Sorority Rush is weeks away, and without a pedigree, Callie doesn't have much of a chance at membership. Her dorm room alone is as plain as a cardigan sweater, while the girls next door have one that would make the finest of designers swoon. Wilda, Alpha Delta Beta alum and Rush advisor, has a daughter rushing in the fall, but Lilith, the well-heeled House Corps president, sees Wilda as a pushover and will stop at nothing to ensure that her own daughter's legacy bid inside the Alpha Delta house. Miss Pearl, She has been a housekeeper and a second mother to the girls for many, many years. And even though it reminds her of a painful part of her past, when a chance for a promotion arises, Lilith slams her Jimmy Choo's heels down fast, crushing Miss Pearl's hopes for a better future. But once Wilda and the girls find out, they devise a plan destined to change the Alpha Delta Beta house, and maybe the entire Greek system forever. Lisa Patton's Rush takes a sharp, nuanced look at the centuries-old traditions while examining the complex relationship between women and what happens when they dare to use their voices. Achingly poignant and chock full of humor, Rush is an uplifting novel universal to us all. So I hope my to-be-read pile will just add things to your to-be-read pile. We have come to the end of our summer. The summer reading program, as far as our weekly book chats with Julie. This is the last one for July. Starting in August, you can always join me on the second Thursday of the month for book chat with Julie. August through December, we don't know when the library will be open, and we are still open for curbside. So please give me a call again, and I've said this through many videos. I would love to scour the shelves for your next read. I love to recommend, if you liked this one, you might like that one. So let me do the work for you, and then call me and we'll chat, and I'll have everything ready for you to pick up curbside at either branch, whichever is most convenient for you. So I thank you for letting me come into your screen, to your TV, to your phones, through Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, however you've been watching me all summer with Book Chats with Julie. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you again in August with another set of good recommendations for books to read. And again, thank you for joining me for another episode of Book Chat with Julie.